Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Srinivasa Biology Tutorial. For this section to discuss in class 11 NCERT chapter 1 the living world. How the wonder is the living world, it is wide range of the living types amazing. The extraordinary habits which has find the living organisms. For example, you take here one particular the living system here to get occupies in a different the life forms. And like as in a their cold mountains, deciduous forest, and their oceans and forest, lakes, deserts, and hot springs, and leaves, and the speechless like that. These all different groups as present in the ecosystem. And here of in a galloping horse of the migrating birds, their valley of flowers are in the attracting. Their shots evoke the deep the sense of wonder. So here the different the organisms we notice as in different localities. The ecological conflict as in that a cooperation among the members of the INI, the completely the population and amazing that population, the community, the even the molecular traffic inside the make in deeply and reflect on what it is that life. So you take as in this complete the world, the different organisms is present. That organisms they show as in different characters. Here what is exactly I need the life. Here what is I need the life. The question has in it two the implicates questions within it. The first the technical one is the seek the answer to living, the completely opposite to the non-living. So when you compare to as in the living and non-living, they completely they have two things. Living they show as in a conspicuous as well as a non-living is in a inconspicuous life. Now, and the second philosophical one and seek the answer to what the purpose of the life is. So major what purpose of the completely life. If the scientists we shall not in accept to answering the second question, we will try to reflect on the what is the living. So now once see that what is the exact the living. Now see once here the diversity in the living world. That is in either the diversity in living world. See the diversity in the living world. As you look around, you see in the large variety of living organisms, be that their potted plants, insects, birds, your pets, or other animals and plants. You see as in the different the living organisms in the earth, like as in a potted plants, so insects, birds, or pets, or other animals. These are completely what they are the different types of the organisms. They are also in several organisms that you cannot see with it without their your naked eye. Sorry, in this. You cannot see in your naked eye, but they are all around you. So these are completely they present as around you. And if you are that increase the area that you make the observations in the range variety of organisms that you see in the world increase. So here you see that all organisms means the living organisms they complete they increase the enter the size and weight whatever the enter the mass will be they get increase. Obviously if you were there visit the dense forest, you would the probably seen that much greater number of the kinds of the living organisms eat. So when you probably the great number of kind of living organisms is present. Each is there different kind of plants, so animals, so organisms. So you see nowadays we are seeing as a different organisms like as a plants, animals, and other organisms. And it is represented as in a species. The number of species that are known as in describe a larger the between around as in a, they are completely 1.7 billions to in a 1.8 billion. So this is very important here around as in a 1.7 to 1.8 billions. This refers as in a completely the biological the biodiversity. It is what biodiversity of this number and here the number and the types of organisms present on the earth. So here completely 1.7 to 1.8 billions of the different organisms as present on the earth. Next, it should remember here that as in that exposed in new areas and even the old ones, new organisms and continuously begin the identified. So there are different organisms you can easily to get identified. Now, as I started earlier, these are in a millions of the plants and animals in the world. See, in the total world, the millions of plants as present as well as animals also present. We know that plants and animals in our area by any local names. These local names would be the place to place, and even though country, the probably you would be the recognized in the confusion that would be there. Create we did not find the means of the talk to each other to reflect the organisms we are talking about. So here this in one area and go to as another area, they are called as a different names. For example, here mango or another species here called as one name, and you go to as another name, they call as in different names. For example, see I am taking here Parthenium histophorus. That is a Parthenium histophorus. Here the Parthenium histophorus species. Here the most of the Parthenium histophorus species. This is the Parthenium histophorus species. They completely here we call as in some areas in Congress topi, in some areas we call as the unwanted weed, like they call different names. But when you use that different names, what happened? They make as the total confusion, right? So that purpose we get used as in one particular standard name, correct? See here. Hence there need as in standardized naming the living organisms, such as in the particular organism known as in the same name in overall the world. So in completely you get as in one particular name, that completely name, it is a complete standardized in completely in worldwide. Go to as in one area, another area, and other country, the name will be they get same. Now that process is called as what? Nomenclature. So when you get as in that name, that is called as what? Nomenclature. Obviously the nomenclature naming is only the possible with the organisms is described incorrectly, and we know to that what organisms name they are attached to this called as, that is identification. So here when you are giving as in a particular name, that enter the characters based on we are completely okay. This belongs to this plant group. We mango is belongs to this group, and another the tomato is belongs to this group. So how do we are completely they separating with help of what? Identification. With help of the identification. Next, after here in orderly, here in order facilitate the study members, the scientists we have established the procedures and assigned the scientific name to of each organism. So here scientifically to get completely to get make as the standard names for as one particular organisms. Next, this is the acceptable biologist for all over world. So this everyone, the each and every scientist who can completely they accepted for this one, that making as a particular name of the standard name in any species. Now for plants, the scientific names are the based on the agreed the principles and criteria, which is provide as an international code for botanical nomenclature, that is in ICBN. So when we make as in a particular name of the any species, we compulsory we take as in some rules and regulations from ICBN. Means what? International code for botanical nomenclature. You may ask here how you animals get named. Here the animal taxon means have been evolved the international code for zoological nomenclature. Here completely ICZN. Here ICZN it is help for as a to get making as a names for the any animals. Okay, the scientific name ensure that in organisms only for in naming. And next, description of many organisms should able to the peoples any part of the world to arrive it is in a same name. So when you go to as in that completely name to name, the name is common. Next, they also ensure that in such names has not been used for any the other organisms. Once you kept as a one particular name of the one organism, that name could not placed as a same name to as the other organisms. Next, biologists followed as a universal acceptable principle to provide the scientific name of known as the organisms. So here some completely the universal accept principles based on we giving as in names for the any species. Okay, the each name has two components, that generic name and specific name. For example, you take as in any one particular species like as in the Mangifera indica. So when completely get we make as in a particular name, we require as in the two components as required. One is in a generic name, another one is in a species name. This is see The system providing as a two components that is called as a binomial nomenclature. This naming system given Carolus von Linnaeus. The beginning their practice is the biologist in all the world. So here they are completely making as in a particular name of the species. They get followed as in a binomial nomenclature rules. It is they proposed by the scientist was whom? Carolus von Linnaeus. Next, this naming system using as in a the words format found in converted. So here completely we making as in a particular name that enter the, for example here I am taking here that in a Mangifera indica. See, it is generic name, it is in a generic name and it is in what? In a the specific epithet. It is in a specific epithet. So it is completely, these rules are first they provided by the scientist was whom? Carolus von Linnaeus. Next, after let us take an example of mango. The mango is understood the in a providing in a scientific name is better. So here I given that one only like, and the scientific name of mango is when write the Mangifera indica. Here Mangifera indica. See, let us show that a binomial name. So the mango botanical name is what? Binomial nomenclature, and this is in a Mangifera is represented as in a genus, means genus, and while the indica is a particular species. Indica means what? That is in a particular species. Now, when you making as a, this Mangifera indica, they are followed as in some rules and regulations. They are see the biological names generally they are Latin, written and italics. So when you are making as a this completely these words used as in a Latin words and it is the written as in italics, and their Latinized derived from as in a Latin representative their origin. So they completely they are followed as in a their Latin, their respective and their origin. And the first word, the biological name represent as in a genus, while the second component is they denoted as in a specific epithet. So first name is what? That is in a genus, and second one is what? That is species. Okay. Next, both words their biological names, well their handwrite and their separate underline and printed italics indicate their Latin origin. So after the write they are completely you make as in what? Underline is must and should. Next, here after the fourth one, see the first word the denoted genus start with as in a capital letter, while the specific epithet they start with as in a small letter. So here the Mangifera indica, here the Mangifera indica, here the genus start with as in a completely capital letters, and the species means that is an indica. The indica start with as in what? In a small letter. Okay, like given as a Mangifera indica. Mangifera indica. Next, here name of the author there appears after the specific epithet. So after the Mangifera indica, here compulsory they can mention as in a the scientist name, like as a Lin. Here Mangifera indica Lin. Mangifera indica Lin. Here it is indicates as in a species was first they are described by the Linnaeus. So this species Mangifera indica, their first introduced scientist was the Linnaeus. Next, since the namely that impossible to study of all living organisms, it is necessary to dive in some means they make of the possible. So here some all characters they are based on we completely separate as in some characters. The process it is completely called as what? Classification. So here the number of groups is present. That number of groups once a time they complete to explain that is not possible. So that purpose we can completely they are separate to as in some groups. That groups is called as what? Classification. Classification process of which is anything the group is converted into as in a category is based on the easily observable characters. So characters based on we completely separating. Here characters based on we get separate to as in a that groups that is called as what? Classification. For example here easily the recognize the group such as in the plants and animals or the dogs, cats, insects, like. So here animals like as in dogs is present, cats is present, insects. So these are how do they get separated? Their characters based on they get separated. Next, the moment we use as in those in terms the associated the certain characters within the organism within the group. So here each organism they are based on we are completely explaining this one. And what image do you see in that within the think of dog? Obviously each of one will be that let's say the dogs it is not a cats. So when you compare to as an the dogs and cats, they are completely show as in the different characters. They show as in different characters. Now, if we are there think that they are Astians, we know that we are thinking about. So when you observe to as an Astians, when here similar, the suppose we are the mammalians, you find that course the think animals their external ears, body heads, likewise in the plants, and talk about as a weight in particular of the mind of will be their weight plants. See here, when you compare to as an Astians and mammalians, they are having as in the same characters will be present, and like here wheat plants also they does not they show as in a rice in a other plants. So rice plant is different as well as in a wheat plant also will be they are different. Hence these all dogs, cats they belongs to as in mammalians. Why the wheat and rice they belongs to as what in a plant. So these all characters based on we get completely kept as in that is in belongs to a plant group, as in that is in a animal group like. Okay, here animals etc. It is a convenient categories that you study of organisms. So here that all categories they are based on we get easily to get study about as in a plant groups and animal groups. Now the scientists the term for these the categories that is taxa. So now we are completely separating the small groups. That small group is called as what taxa. That is here you must the categorize the taxa is indicates the category. It is very the different levels like plants also form as a taxa. Wheat is also one of the taxa. The similar animals, mammalians, dogs, all taxa. But know that dogs, mammalians, and mammalians are animals. Therefore, they are animals, mammalians, dogs are respective as in a different taxa levels. So here the different taxas like as in cats, so animals, cats, so dogs, so wheat, rice, they have the complete different taxas. But the different taxas they show as in different taxonomic levels like. To discuss in next class. Thank you for watching.